12, to the 15, to the 20, to the 25, to the 30, to the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, to the 30, to the 25, to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5. It is a touchdown, Big Orange.
What is going on, boys and girls? Welcome to a midday show, the Volunteers Trinity. Myself, Boogie Bentley, and SportstalkJ going to be popping in here with me in just about, a few seconds. And we're going to talk some Tennessee, Florida football. What a better thing to do on a Wednesday midday even, than get me out of bed and talk Tennessee football with two of my best buddies on here. Two guys that I love and admire greatly. And, well, heck, let's just bring them in. Get started. What's going on, fellas?
Get you out of bed. It's lunchtime, BVD. It's lunchtime.
I said I got up at 9 o'clock, Boogie. Come on, man.
What'd you get up at 9 o'clock for? We don't have to go live till 12.
Well, we might as well mention it. Next week when we go back to Boogie's channel, we're going to switch it up to 11 a.m. And, of course, we'll all three make posts and remind you guys all week, because this is, after all, the best show on YouTube. I don't know if you guys realize that or not. Second, maybe, to my Josh Heupel interviews.
Yeah, those are good.
It's the best show on YouTube. But let's get right into this thing. But before we do, you guys know the drill. Hit the like button. You guys know how to contribute to this channel. I remind you every show. And the links to these guys' channels are in the description. But, I mean, if I'm being realistic, all 2,800 of you that are in here right now are already subscribed to Boogie and Sports Talk J. So no need to even mention it, even though I just did. Hey, listen, let's get right to it. Boogie, Tennessee versus Florida. Drive it for me. Tell me what we got to expect.
I think for me, the big thing, coming out of Austin Peay game, right? Coming out of the Austin Peay game, we're all fans. We're all obsessed. We're all losing sleep over the way Tennessee looked. Whether you want to blame Joe Milton, you want to blame the wide receivers. Bottom line is the offense, the passing offense was not clicking. So that's a problem. There are concerns there. At times, the defense, as good as the front seven has played, leading the country in sacks, leading the country in tackles for loss, at times against Austin Peay, the secondary looked lost. They're running around, scrambling around like it's backyard football, and we react emotionally to that. We freak out about it. We panic about it. Guess who doesn't freak out? Guess who doesn't panic? Vegas. There's a reason Tennessee's still favored by almost a touchdown. The ESPN FPI has the balls at 53.8%. Tennessee needs to go down there, be who they are, take care of business, protect Joe Milton, and go win a football game on Saturday.
Jay, lay it down, buddy.
Well, I think this game could not have higher stakes. I think it's an absolute must-win for Billy Napier. I don't agree with his decision to bring in a pedestrian quarterback long term. I think he's an okay quarterback and would probably do well at certain conferences, but I think he's going to struggle in the SEC. Now, with me saying that, he'll have a good day with us, because I don't think our secondary is where it needs to be yet. I think it's better than last year, but I still think there are weaknesses there. The defensive line that we have is going to be a problem for Florida. We've already had 11 sacks. We've lived in the backfield of both offenses that we played against. Now, I know that's not SEC level, but Florida's offensive line is not there. It's not where it should be, and they've already shown a lot of weakness. They gave up a bunch of sacks against Utah. So it's going to be a very interesting game. As far as Joe is concerned, look, Joe needs to play well, period. He needs to, this whole thing with quarterbacks and you got to be so sensitive and all that. When I played sports over at UT, now granted, it was golf, whatever, but whoever was playing the best is who played. You had to qualify every week to go to a tournament, and that's just how it was. And if you didn't play well, you didn't qualify, you stayed at home. I know it's different with a quarterback because of the psyche of it. It's a totally different position than running back, where if you had a running back that didn't have a good game, you just put the other guy in. With quarterback, it's tricky, but I really think this is an important game for him to show that he's the leader, he's the quarterback one, and we don't need to worry about it anymore. So hopefully he puts that to bed, has a nice, solid game, throws for 250, 300, no interceptions, couple touchdowns, and we don't have to worry about that for a while because it's stressing me out.
It's funny that you mentioned having to qualify for tournaments. It's like this AP game was kind of a qualifier for the Florida game, in my opinion. If you want to look at it that way, they didn't qualify very well last week, and of course they had the players only meeting, and you guys both have talked about that. I don't generally put a whole lot of stock in players only meetings, but I think this one was important because of how they played, because of maybe there may or not be some questioning of Joe's leadership in the locker room. I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. You guys aren't in there, but we're definitely going to find out Saturday. I want to bring this up real quick. I don't know if you guys know this guy, Octavian Cador, I guess we'll call him in the comments.
He's a regular on my channel.
He's a regular on your channel. I'm sure he watches Sports Talk J now. And he's been giving me grief about this game this weekend, which he's a Florida fan. He's supposed to. We've got a little bet. Tennessee wins, he is supposedly going to come on my stream and sing Rocky Top.
Well, you know something fun about that, BVD? It wouldn't be the first time that Octavian has had to do that because he did it last year after we whipped that ass in Neyland Stadium, and we're going to do it again. So now you can come sing it for BVD and put him to sleep.
Did he actually do it for you?
Yeah, he did it. Yeah,
sweet. Okay.
He will sing you right to sleep, BVD. After a nice win in the swamp, you're going to sleep like a baby.
Well, I've had to sing We Are the Boys in the past, back when everybody used to call me Dr. Crow, when I was doing the trash talk thing, and Tennessee would lose 6, 7, 8 games a year. So I had to crow up a lot, and that's one of the things I had to do one year. But the funny thing about it was I wore a FU. I painted FU on my face, so it made it a little bit easier. I don't have to worry about this year. We are not losing to Florida. Now, before the AP game, I was uber confident about this game with, Florida in the back of my head. Me and John have talked about this ad nauseum, the Florida curse, they're in our heads, all that crap. We'll start with you this time, Jay, since you like to talk about it a lot on here. Is Florida in Tennessee's head? These current players?
I don't know necessarily the current players. They're in mine. They're in yours.
Yeah.
They're in Boogie's. I mean, that's if you've been a Tennessee fan for the last 20 some odd years, ever since Steve Spurrier did what he did, cost us 2 natties. They've been in our heads, and it's been awful. And there's been so many times when we should have beat them. We were the better club, and we would just lose. Even the Butch Jones years, when there was times we were a pretty darn good team, and we just couldn't hardly find a way except occasionally. So, yeah, definitely for the fan base. I don't know if the players, they beat them last year. So, they don't necessarily probably feel that way, but I do.
Before you go, Boogie, I've been waiting to bring this super chat up. Thank you, KPC, for the super chat. Tennessee has lost to some Florida teams that they could have beaten. The reason why is Florida's had better coaches. Not this year. Go Big Orange. Boogie, is Florida in our heads, the team?
That right there, they're in our heads, like John said, our heads, fans' heads, because like he just said right there, how many times should Butch Jones have beat Florida and just dropped the ball, right? I mean, better talent. How many games did we go into saying Tennessee's got better talent than Florida, but then they found a way to lose? This exact question was asked to Jacob Warren this week with his appearance with the media, and he said no. He said, no, we don't think about that. And I kind of talked about this on my stream last night, some of these kids have no idea who Al Wilson is. They have no idea who Leonard Little is. They don't
Good
know.
Lord.
They don't know some of the Tennessee greats, and it's like we talk about it in recruiting, and I'm like, it is important to develop guys, get them into the league. That way, these young kids see. Why is Alvin Kamara the face of Tennessee football right now? Because he's the guy in the NFL that they're all talking about. Even Peyton Manning, for crying out loud. Like, do these kids know Peyton Manning because he was a Tennessee great? Do they know him because he was a has-been that showed up to Denver and managed his way to a Super Bowl? Do they know him because he does the Manning cast with his brother Eli, and they're a bunch of old fogies? Like, that you know what I mean? And we're talking about a Tennessee great. These kids have no idea. And people argue with me all the time in the chat and in the comments, yeah, they do, Boogie. No, we do. And hopefully we raise our kids to know who Al Wilson is, to know who the Tennessee greats are. These kids have no idea. But is Florida in our head? Maybe. Are they in the players and the coaches' heads? Absolutely not.
I agree. Mentioning Peyton and Eli doing their things on Monday nights, I'd like to see Peyton wear a little bit more Tennessee swag when he does this stuff. I know he brings up Tennessee occasionally. I don't watch all of their broadcasts, and as we all know, there used to be the Manning curse. Every time he'd show up for a big game, we'd lose. Of course, I think he's ended that. Was it baseball game he was at that we won that kind of got him off the voodoo schneid or what? I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. This is Florida week. Octavian says, let me on. I think we'll pass on that right now. You talk enough shit, Octavian, everywhere else. And I promise you, bro, I'll let you on Sunday night, win or lose. And we're not losing. So you guys are my two go-to guys when it comes to stats, articles all over the internet, because Lord knows you both scour the internet every day for this kind of stuff. You're like I would have been back in the 80s and 90s if we'd had computers. Look at me, I'm already losing my voice. What's the most interesting thing, Boogie, you found on the internet this week about this game?
I'll go jump on what Jay said earlier about Graham Mertz. I don't think he's very good, and I think that's why, you talked about us being pretty excited coming out of the Virginia game, and I was too, and I was making videos laughing at Florida. I was channeling my inner SportsTalkJ and trying to trigger their fan base because they looked horrible against Utah. What'd they give up? 5 sacks against Utah, and then you see that Tennessee, again, to repeat the stat, leads the country in sacks, leads the country in tackles for loss, and I get it. I understand. It's Virginia, whose offense was not very good. It's Austin Peay. Nobody cares. You're going to have to prove it on Saturday. But I think that's the whole story of this game. It's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with Florida, too. They looked horrible against Utah. They beat McNeese State. They should have beat McNeese State. Tennessee looked okay against Virginia, who's not a very good football team. They struggled against a horrible Austin Peay team. But Graham Mertz is the difference maker. If Tennessee can stop the run, force Florida to have to throw, pin their ears back and get after him. And if you get home, you get home. And I think Tennessee's shown through a couple of games that they can get home with 4 this year. That's a big, big difference maker for this defense. But even if you don't get home, Graham Mertz is going to make poor decisions. He's only thrown 1 interception through 2 games. Last year, 10 interceptions. The year prior to that, 11 interceptions. And he wasn't playing in the SEC. So I think Graham Mertz could cost Florida the game on Saturday. But, again, Tennessee's secondary better step up. They better turn their dang heads around and make some plays, or it ain't going to matter.
What's the most interesting thing you've seen this week, Jay? Or it's early, and if you either of you want to bring up any bulletin board material, that's certainly acceptable too. But
well, I can tell you, of course, I keep a close eye on Florida because, as everybody knows, that's my least favorite team, and they're worried. Their people are worried. I was actually on Ellie Peak show the other night, and she's a big Florida Gator YouTuber, and they're not confident at all. They're just not. They're concerned about everything. So they're relying on the swamp. That's what they're relying on, which is a good thing to rely on.
Yeah, well, their fans shouldn't be confident. The players, the coaches, of course, that's all different. Billy's going to be pumping those guys up all week. He's going to be talking about the history of the series, which he's already in his press conference talking about the history of this series and how important this game used to be. I mean, in old days, there wouldn't be any question whether there's a coach prime or not. College game day would be in Gainesville this weekend, period. I don't know who's there this weekend. I don't know if it's SEC Nation or who, but ESPN can be out there hugging on Prime all they want this weekend. We're going to be hugging on some Josh Heupel after we go down there and beat Florida by whatever we beat them by. Let's get to the particulars of the game, and I'll start with Joe Milton. Joe needs to have the game of his life, I think, this weekend, because people they're already hollering Nico. John, what kind of game does Joe need to have? And keep in mind, we're only averaging a little over 200 yards passing right now. What kind of game give me some particulars you think he needs to do?
Probably 250 yards, 200 to 250 yards. He's not a 300-plus yard guy. He's not. He's a 200 to 250 yard guy. He needs to run. I think he can run. He's certainly capable of it, and it would cause chaos for the defense if he did, because you saw how he just busted in there in the end zone that one time. They didn't know what they weren't prepared for that at all. They're not prepared at Florida for him to run. I think that could be a surprise for them. And not throw any interceptions, which he's been great at, but and be accurate down the field, not just behind the line of scrimmage. If he will do that, everybody loves him. He'll be golden. If he doesn't, at some point, you're not going to suffer too long if he doesn't do those things. And that's in that offense, that's not too much to ask for. He's got more than enough talent to do it. I don't know if it's a comfort level. Maybe it's in his head. I don't know what the problem is.
Well, it was only one game, Boogie. It was only one game that receivers were dropping the balls everywhere. You think that's even remotely a concern for Joe?
That receivers are dropping balls?
Yeah, is he thinking, is Ramel going to catch this if we throw it to him? Is Dante Thornton going to miss two perfect passes on the sidelines?
I wonder if it just messes with his confidence. Not so much he's like, oh my gosh, are they going to drop this one when I throw it? I just wonder if it kind of – everybody's been saying the Tennessee passing offense has been out of sync and out of rhythm, and I wonder if it just throws him off of his game. He doesn't have that confidence, that swagger, whatever the case may be. I thought Joe played good against Virginia. He had one bad series outside of that, and I know people like to throw stats and numbers at people, right? They like to say, oh, he completed 70% of his passes against Austin Peay. Yeah, and he completed 11 straight, turning and throwing it directly to the sideline. That's stats don't always tell the full story. And I agree with what Jay said. I don't think Joe Milton has to go out there and put up Heisman Trophy numbers. I just think he has to be efficient. Talked all offseason about this defense and how they're going to be better. We hear all fall camp how great the front seven is. If Tennessee goes out and plays good defense and they run the football like they've ran it through 2 games, that's the thing. Tennessee averaging almost 260 yards a game on the ground. Come on. Feed Jalen Wright, feed Jabari Small, feed Dylan Sampson, and then they're going to creep up in the box. And when they do, that's when Joe needs to step up. That's when he needs to connect down the field. That's when Tennessee has to attack vertically, and you have to have success there. Joe can't miss those every time. And if the middle of the field opens up, and Heupel said this after the Austin Peay game, he was like, several things were there over the middle of the field. We couldn't capitalize on it. You cannot do that. You cannot rely on the quick stuff to the outside. That is not going to work against a team like Florida. So when Joe is given the opportunity to stretch the field vertical, hit him over the top, you've got to connect. And he doesn't have to be 100%. Hendon Hooker wasn't 100% on those deep throws. I don't expect that. He just has to be efficient. But, this football team needs to surround Joe and take some of the pressure off of him. Play good defense. Stop Florida's run game and help Joe out with your own running game. And I think if he's efficient, Tennessee can still go win 9-10 ball games.
Yeah, I agree with everything both of you said. I'm not going to say I'm concerned about Joe right now. The only concern that I have in respect to Joe is the fact that he can't. Everybody's using baseball analogies. He can't throw a curveball. He can't throw a changeup. Everything's a fastball, no matter where he throws it. And that, I guess my concern there is he just not getting it. The coaches are coaching him up. We've got the best coaches in the country, in my opinion, and maybe yours too. We've definitely got the best coaches we've had here in 20 years. So they're definitely coaching him up. That's my only concern with him. I agree. He's going to have some overthrows. Everybody does. I don't care who you are. Peyton Manning overthrew the ball sometimes. He underthrew it sometimes. It's just part of being a quarterback.
Don't you think he's done better, though, on the deep ball? I think he's put some more air under his deep ball. And it's like, man, I get it. I understand. But catch the damn ball, man. Catch. You're on a D1 scholarship. You're making NIL money. I don't want to hear that Joe throws the ball too hard. Guess what? If somebody goes out there and throws a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, is the catcher back there going, and it kind of hurts my end a little bit. Can you drop it down to about 96? That way it doesn't hurt and I don't drop it on strike 3. No, shut up and catch the ball. Go play football. Like, I get the touch. He needed the touch on the deep ball. I think he's fixed that. Now, if you're over the middle and he needs to throw a bullet, learn to freaking catch the football. That's just my opinion. I'm not out there having to catch it.
That's not really an opinion, if you ask me. That's a fact. If this continues, and I don't think it will, I think we've got great receivers. We may have to go the Georgia route, sticking those walk-ons in. And if we do that, then they got to put my boy Will Albright in there. He's been sitting on the bench for 5 years at Tennessee. Give my boy Will a chance. He played every position on the field at Greenville. He can do it at UT too. Now, really, you make a good point. You got to catch the dang ball. They catch the balls in practice. You're supposed to play like you practice. And I'm hoping that I said it after the AP game. That game was an anomaly. I don't think Tennessee's going to come out and play like crap against Florida, even though the stage is set for them to do that. We saw it last year at Georgia. We saw it at South Carolina. Big crowds, big loud crowds got in Tennessee's head last year. Forget the whole Florida voodoo crap. Large, loud crowds affected Tennessee last year. They affect the offense, and they're going to affect us Saturday. We're just going to have to find a way to overcome it. What do you do, John, to overcome that on the road?
Your leaders have to lead. That's exactly how you do it. I don't know how many guys I've known in my life, and we're all this way. When we're on the practice tee hitting range balls, man, it's the easiest thing in the world to hit a range ball. I mean, you can smack it anywhere. You can curve it. You can do anything you want. When you get on that first tee, can you do it? Can you hit that same shot? And that's what we're dealing with. And then on top of it, to have about 100,000 people yelling at you while you're on that first tee, that's how tough it is. So it's really overcoming that stress. We're going to be offsides. I'm not offsides. We're going to have false starts. I'll go ahead and tell you, we're going to have 3 or 4 false starts caused by the swamp. Can we overcome being 5 yards further behind the sticks? When Hendon was really good at dealing with that. We need to see Joe do that. Yep. And look, we're gonna find out a ton on Saturday. We're gonna find out what Joe can do and what he can't do. And you got a 5-star behind him, so of course everybody in the back of their minds going, well, what can the 5-star do? What can he do? So it's going to be I cannot believe how much is on this game. There should not be this much on this third game of the season, but there is.
Should be a yawner for us. I mean, it kind of was in the offseason, the way everybody was talking. A lot of people were actually overlooking this game, which is ridiculous in my mind. I wanted to bring this up talking about – I knew you were going to bring up golf. I knew. That's why I went to you first. Wouldn't it be cool if in golf it was kind of like Happy Gilmore? You had a big crowd around the green and everybody's shaking keys, and I think that would be hilarious. No, it would suck for the golfer for sure.
If my buddy bends over to tie his shoe while I'm on the tee box, I'm irate. I cannot stand it. Shut your mouth, be quiet, don't breathe when I'm on the tee box, because I got enough things going through my head. I don't need that going on too. So no, it wouldn't be fun.
I can already see we're going to have so much fun on this golf trip if we make it happen.
I'm thinking about doing a TalkinVawls charity golf tournament. I did a golf tournament for 5 years for the American Cancer Society in memory of my buddy. I've told this story a million times on my channel. The guy that I went to the first ever UT game passed away from brain cancer. So I did a charity golf tournament for 5 years in honor of him, even though he hated golf, like he never played golf. But because now I've got this platform with all these people, and a lot of them play golf, and I think we could do something cool. And I was talking about Jay last night because I know Jay plays golf, and auction it off. You're going to put together a 4-man scramble. Guess what, Jay? You don't get to play with any of your buddies. People are going to pay money to be on your team. They're going to pay money to be on my team. They're going to pay money for BVD to be their coach and ride around in a golf cart. We can take all of these internet YouTube personalities, and I think we could do a lot of good coming together. I don't know. It's just something that I'm throwing around. We'll see. It's a lot of work.
I'm really liking that idea.
It's a lot of work, but I think, God has blessed me with a platform, and I think if we can use it for some good, I think that's something I'm kicking around. So we'll see.
I don't know if you realize this, Boogie. You're talking about BVD riding around in a golf cart. I played golf for 25 years. Okay, I sucked at it and didn't ever get good. So, yeah, I'll drive the cart. I'll drive. You guys play. I'll videotape, and we'll have a good time. Golf is a game, and I'm sorry we're getting off topic, but we all three love talking about golf, so why not? Golf is a game you have to play every day. You got to practice every day to get good at it. And I just never had the time or money back then to get out there and play every day, so I never got better at it. I was probably like you, Boogie. I would hit 2 or 3 of the most amazing shots I've ever hit in my life and think, okay, this is it. This is the day I turn it around. And then the next 2 or 3 shots will be in the creek, in the woods, in the pond.
That's what keeps you coming back, right?
In somebody's backyard. I love the backyard shots where you hit the roof of somebody's house and they come out and try to beat your hind end. But that's what we need to do Saturday. We need to go down there and knock a golf ball on top of the Swamp's house and tick them off. We don't want to tick the team off. We just want to tick the fans off to where they get mad. And instead of shaking their keys at the end of the game, they're sticking them in the ignition, starting their cars up and leaving in the third quarter. That's what I want to see.
Well, that's you talk about the environment and the hostile crowd and all that stuff, and we were kind of talking about it right before we went live. Jay talking about how this is must win for Billy Napier, and I think it is. And I've talked a lot about it. They ended the season last year with 3 straight losses. Then they open up this year with a loss. Do you really want to lose, 5 out of 6 if they drop one to Tennessee? So that fan base is going to be hostile, and they are going to have an electric environment on Saturday night. But what happens when Tennessee starts fast? You asked Jay what Tennessee has to do to quieten the crowd. What if you just go back and give Joe some easy throws? Get him started quick, man. Run the football efficiently. I've been saying the last 24 hours, how about a 3-and-out? How about Florida gets the ball to start the game? Tennessee gets a 3-and-out, and then D. Williams houses the punt. That everybody's going to be ready to go home. They are looking for one thing, good or bad, that is going to control their energy for the rest of the night. That fan base, I feel like, is so fragile right now.
That's exactly what we did to LSU.
Yes.
They were not feeling – we got down there at a good time. They were not feeling good about their team. They'd lost a game or 2 there early on. Brian Kelly was new. They were questioning whether he was the right coach for them, and we jumped on them 10-0, and they just everything went out of them. It kind of messed them up in the head. If we could do that at Florida, they would be worse than LSU.
Yep.
They're down.
What a feeling it would be to take over the Swamp like we did Death Valley last year. I think it's going to be a lot tougher to take over Death Valley take over the Swamp than it was Death Valley. But, I mean, this team's got the potential to do it. Thank you, Nate Pruitt, for the Super Chat. Gator Hater Week, go Big Orange. It's great to be a Tennessee ball. Yes, it is. I want to hear that chant Saturday in the second half. I want to see Nico in there in the third quarter because we're up 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns or whatever. I know I'm stretching my thoughts of reality right now.
Wouldn't
but
that be
why
something,
not?
Though? Wouldn't that be something?
And it could happen
all week for Austin P, and it doesn't happen, and then Tennessee runs the Gators out of the Swamp, and Nico's in the fourth quarter.
It could happen.
Would be amazing.
It could happen. I don't see why not. I mean, if Florida is really as bad as all the professionals keep saying they are, and all of us fans, Uncle Lou all offseason has been talking about how Tennessee's going to beat Florida by 30, and he's sticking to his guns. So I hope he's right for once. That would be nice to see.
They're bad in the red zones where they're bad. They're not bad from the 20 to the 20. And you've got a quarterback that can move them during that 60 yards. Where they struggle is when they get near that 20 and everything tightens up and he has no ability to run and the running backs can't get loose. So then it's all on his arm, and then the pressure comes and then the sack happens. And that's what they do. And that's why they're not scoring any points. Before, they had the magician back there that could just do some jump over somebody's head, do it 3 cartwheels, and then wind up in the end zone.
Didn't
Yeah.
they replace a lot of offensive linemen too? Did they replace 4 offensive linemen? Am I
A
right?
ton of them. A ton
I
of
thought
them.
it was 4. I thought it was 4. And you look at their stats right now for their running backs. They're averaging like 6-7 yards a carry. That is so skewed because they were averaging like 2.5 yards a carry in that Utah game. But then they play McNeese freaking State and run the football for 327 yards.
Yeah, they ran for 12 yards against Utah.
Yeah,
that's unacceptable at any level.
And
I
who
mean,
did I? Have I said it 3 times now on this stream? Who's leading the country in tackles for loss? Let's see how that lines up for Tennessee on Saturday.
Yeah,
Didn't we lead in TFLs last year? Most of the year,
They were up there most of the year. They were in the top 5 most. I don't know where they finished up.
Well, this year so far, we've talked about, all 3 of us have talked about in videos and live streams, everything, that if Tennessee can, again, in year 3 under Heupel, drop the average points per game by the opposition, this would be a big year for us to make some moves. Pretty easy to figure out what we're giving up a game right now. 2 games, 13 points in each game. Even Greene County math, I can figure that one out. If we were able to manage giving up 13 points a game all year, we're winning the Natty.
Yeah.
Is there any realistic chance for Tennessee to win the Natty this year, Boogie?
Why you gotta ask me that?
Come on, I'm
sticking to my guns, man. I'm sticking to my prediction. I'm sticking to what I thought this football team was going into the year. And, you talk about everybody saying that Florida was a blowout, and I kept preaching the opposite. I kept saying this game against Florida is huge. It's crucial. If Tennessee's going to win, a lot of people in the chat think 10 games, 11 games. You better win against Florida in the swamp. And I think, just talking about the environment alone and them living in our heads as fans, I think this is a huge game for Tennessee to get to 9 wins. And I think if they go beat Florida on Saturday, they're going to be 5-0 coming out of September. I think they'll beat South Carolina at the end of the month. UTSA, they're going to win that game. I know I may call it a glorified scrimmage just to make people mad because I think it's funny. But then the schedule gets pretty dang tough. What does Texas A&M look like? You got to go on the road to play Alabama. You got to go on the road to play Kentucky. I think Tennessee can lose 3 games. But, I mean, if they beat Florida, I think they're winning 9 or 10 games. I'm not calling for a national championship. Look, we all said that we thought the offense was going to take a step back this year.
Yep.
We thought the defense was going to get better. We thought the offense was going to take a step back. Let's get Nico ready to go in 2024. You're going to have to hit the portal and get some offensive linemen. You're going to have to hit the portal, get some defensive tackles, and hopefully 2024, 2025 are going to be special years for Tennessee football. I don't think we need to be disappointed in not winning a national championship in year 3. I don't think we need to be disappointed if Josh Heupel and this football team go out and win 9 games this year. I think that is right on track to where they should be.
That was kind of expected this year a little bit, wasn't it, John?
To do what?
To take a step back for Tennessee to take a step back this year.
Well, with Hendon leaving, that was the quarterback position is just it's so critical. It's so important, and we're still with a question mark there that we have. I'm not ask me after the Florida game how I feel about it. Right now, there's too much up in the air. There just is, and till we get that solidified. To me, it's not solidified. To me, there's a question mark there, and he's going to answer that question Saturday in my mind because I'm back on the fence. I was off the fence after the Clemson game. I was fine. Okay, we're rolling with Joe, and there you go. I'm back on the fence, and I'm going to sit there until I get pushed one way or the other. And that's all up to really how the team plays and how Joe performs. This team could be very good this year. The defense is clearly better. The scoring is going to go down naturally because the rules changes. But I think we could be down, 3 or 4 points from, was it 21 point, whatever it was, down to like 18 or 19. I think that would be a significant improvement. But we've got to score some points. And scoring 30 against Austin Peay is ridiculous. That's totally unacceptable.
Well, I'm sticking to that was an anomaly. It was just a bad game. I'm just going to go ahead and say we were overlooking them. I think those kids were thinking about Florida, and when they came out and Austin Peay came out and started throwing the kitchen sink at us, and their coach was over there jumping around like those little spider monkeys.
Well, what do you think of his timeouts? The way he used his timeouts?
I streamed the second half of the game, And in the first half, before I got on, I was like, this guy's an idiot. He's blowing all of his timeouts. But looking back on it now, it might have been pretty effective. I don't know. What'd you guys think?
I thought it worked. I thought it threw Tennessee off their rhythm multiple times.
I loved it. I thought it was brilliant because he had nothing to lose whatsoever. And the last thing you want to do is let Tennessee get comfortable and get things rolling. That's what you cannot let Tennessee do, because once that offense gets rolling, it's incredibly difficult to stop. That's why Lane Kiffin had the fainting goats every other play with their fake ridiculous injuries, because he understands that as well as anybody. Lane is a good offensive-minded coach, and he knows momentum. And momentum's a huge thing for an offense. Because once I'm telling you, once Tennessee gets rolling with that offense, it's devastating. And he just didn't allow it. I don't care if I got to use every timeout. I don't care. They're not rolling on me.
They had a good game plan on the other side of the ball too, on offense. The chop blocks and getting the ball out quick, the bubble screens. That's what scares me. Does Florida go and kind of mimic what Austin Peay was doing on offense? Because again, it's just flashbacks of that night, and it's like I know so many things happen, like Danico Slaughter falling down on the deep shot, but man, they picked up a lot of yards using that bubble screen. And if Tennessee's living in the backfield, if Tennessee's stuffing the run game, why not get the ball out of your hand quick and see what your wide receivers can do? You got some talented wide receivers on that Florida team. Do they mimic what Austin Peay did? I thought Austin Peay had a great game plan across the board, but it doesn't matter.
They pulled out 5 wide on us a couple of times. We don't even do that, do we?
I thought that was great.
Yeah, I was like, why aren't we doing that?
I just loved it.
Everything they did, I'm like you. I loved it, because I was like, these guys, they've done what not many people have done, not named Alabama or Florida in the past, and that's come into Neyland Stadium and saying, guess what? We don't care if you're better. We're going to throw everything we got at you. So, shout out to Austin Peay. Plus, I should have realized this before the game ever started. They got a Greenville kid on that team. Of course, they were going to play us hard, Anywhere there's a Greenville kid, that team's going to play well. That's just my thoughts. Guys, appreciate you guys joining us today. Hit that like button while you're in here. Proud to have my 2 buddies on here. We've been talking about this all off season, and this is show number 3, show number 3. And I like the way the 3 of us can get together and just talk Tennessee football and not worry about anything else, and not talk about stupid things like sometimes happens on YouTube. Speaking of stupid things, how stupid was it? Oh my God, how stupid is it that I just totally forgot where I was going with that? Anyway, we'll just change it up, going back to the swamp and the inefficiency, if you want to call it that, of our offense against Austin Peay. It just now hit me 3 games in a row. Our offense has never really had a chance to get in a rhythm. We did a little bit against Virginia, I guess, but Clemson slowed us down a little bit. Virginia came out and slowed us down a little bit. And then what Austin Peay did. Is this a trend, Boogie?
It's kind of weird because last year it seemed like Heupel's offense started fast, right? They would come out of the gate, they would score. Really, the last 2 years, they would start fast. This year, we've not seen that yet. And the Austin Peay game was kind of weird. It was kind of weird because it's like it seemed like, was Josh Heupel, and this is why I almost wonder if you can just flush that game down the toilet and not think about it. Was Josh Heupel trying to fix some things in the passing game? Like, you come out and you've got a guy in Jalen Wright that is averaging almost 10 yards a carry, but you come out in those first few drives and you're trying to throw the ball over the middle. You're trying to hit, you're trying to get into a groove or a rhythm in the passing game, and that puts you behind the sticks right out of the gate. And then it's punt. But where Tennessee has done good is the middle 8. Spoiler alert for my appearance on Locked On Vols on Friday. We talk a lot about the middle 8. And in Tennessee, in the Austin Peay game, it's tied 6-6. They get a 3 and out, and then they go right down the field and score. And then they come back out after halftime and they go score again. And not that I ever really thought Tennessee was going to lose to Austin Peay, but when they did that, when it was 6-6, and then they scored before the half and after the half, the game was over at that point. So what's more important? I'm going to throw you the same question that I talk about on Locked On Vols, and you guys can answer it. What is more important in this game against Florida, the middle 8 or the first 8 minutes of the game?
Go ahead, John.
Long term, the middle 8, but I really want that first 8 because we have struggled with the first 8, and we used to not. For 2 years, the first 8 we owned. The first quarter we owned. And we're not going as fast as we used to. We're not going as fast. We're not hiking the ball as fast. Maybe that has something to do with Cooper Mays. Maybe that has something to do with Joe. Maybe that has something to do with Heupel. But we're not going at warp speed. We're slowing down a little bit, and I don't like it. I don't like it at all. That's one of the great things about that offense is it keeps the defense just totally mesmerized. They don't know what the crap to do because it just keeps coming at them. And we're pausing. We keep pausing. I don't get it. Why are we pausing?
So are we trying to fix something? Are we missing Cooper Mays? Or is this offense truly being what everybody said for 2 weeks, vanilla, and saving it all for Florida? What is going on? I feel like anytime the offense struggles against an inferior opponent, we all say, oh, there's a vanilla playbook. And Tennessee did run about 3 plays the entire second half against Austin Peay.
They had to get Joe into rhythm, it seemed like. I'll answer your question. The first 8 to me is the most important. It's kind of weird that in this Florida game, nobody's bringing up the last 8 because the last 8 have been pretty important for Tennessee in this series. But yeah, I think it's so important and critical really for Tennessee to jump on the opponents like they have been. First 8 to me is, in my mind, a no-brainer to go down there and just immediately jump in their ass. Like Boogie said, Florida gets the ball first, 3 and out. Tennessee gets the ball, either D houses it or Joe throws a bomb on play 1. That's what I want to see.
I think you're going to see a lot of those sideline passes to get him going starting out. I bet you're going to see that to begin with. And
unfortunately.
Just basically an extension of the run game and get 4 or 5 yards.
I would do that. Get Joe comfortable. Get him some dang confidence. Don't go out there and make him throw some difficult throw or fit it in a tiny window. Give him something that's easy. Get the run game going. Get him some confidence. Then take your deep shot. You take that deep shot right out of the gate. Now it's 2nd and 10. All right, so you run the football. You pick up a yard. Now it's 3rd and 9. Now you're leaning on Joe to fit one in a window. Incomplete. You punt. Here we go. That gives Florida some juice right out of the gate. That's why for this one, for me, the first 8. And I think 9 times out of 10, the middle 8's more important. But dang it, man, you got to find something to shut Florida up on Saturday.
Are you guys? Do you want to get the ball first at the start of the game, or do you like the whole deferring to the second half thing, John?
Last year, I preferred to get the ball first. This year, because the defense is better, I would like to have the ball first in the second half.
Bugs.
I agree with that too. I want it in the second half, and sticking to the whole theme of middle 8, I think Josh Heupel's offense allows you to steal some points right before the half a lot, right? If the other team scores, you got a minute and a half, guess what? Josh Heupel's offense can go right down the field and score. So then if you're getting the ball back, it's a ifs, ands, and buts, right? It's like, especially if you come out on defense first, you get that 3 and out, man, that fires everybody up, and then you're going right back on offense anyway. Now you're kind of still in a possession because you're really kind of getting the ball first, getting that 3 and out. But also, they come out, they drive down the field and score, and it's like, here we go. God, we're so emotional, man. We are such psychotic fans. It's like every little thing makes us panic. So, but yeah, give me the ball to start the third quarter.
Do you like this is more for any type of game than it is this Florida game, because I know playing Florida in the swamp at night, humidity is supposed to be down a little bit, which is good for us. But do you guys like to see these late games? I know noon games suck for everybody, but what's your preference on what time you would like to see a game? Because for me, I'll be out of my gourd Saturday all day waiting on this game. I mean, it's already bad enough now, the anticipation. But on game day, when we got a night game, I don't know, it kind of drives me nuts. What's your preference?
I can answer this 14 different ways. Do you want me to answer it as a businessman? Do you want me to answer it if I'm going to the game, or do you want me to answer it as a husband and a father that's at home with his wife and kids?
I'll take all three.
Like, as a husband and a father, I like those noon games, man. It's like, get up, eat some breakfast, maybe hit the gym, come back, watch the game, spend time with the family. As a businessman, give me that 7 o'clock game, because there's no competition when we do the post-game show live immediately after. Everybody wants to talk about it and hang out. You got that midday game, and then it ends, and there's another big game. That's not good for business. But then as a fan, if I'm going to the game, I want a night game. I want to be able to tailgate, grill some chicken wings, crack open a cold beer or 4 or 12, and be a well-oiled machine going into the game. So probably nighttime game more than not. But I'm with you. I'm with you when it's a night game and you're sitting at home, you're like just waiting all day long. You're watching these other games, you just don't freaking care, and then you're waiting all day long. It's going to be a long day Saturday waiting, but
John's going to be out on the golf course Saturday, aren't you?
I like the 7 o'clock because I usually have to work on Saturdays, so it's perfect for me. And I look forward to it all day. I'm like, oh man, we got that big game coming up tonight, and then I can catch a little bit of the other games and kind of enjoy them too. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, yeah, but the only thing that matters is going to happen at 7 o'clock. And Florida's my favorite game. It's just always my favorite game.
All three of these channels, this game has been analyzed to death, forwards, backwards, any way you can look at it. Let's talk just as fans. When Tennessee, noon game, Tennessee loses, does it ruin the rest of your day, Boogs?
Yes, but 2005 kind of cured me a little bit. Like, I remember watching all those losses in 2005, and I was kind of sitting, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, back then, and again, we talk about being a spoiled fan base, right? Us that grew up and saw the powerhouse in the 90s, it's like, you don't lose to South Carolina. You don't lose to Vanderbilt, Kentucky. You don't even worry about those games. Like, right. So much that it's almost like a lot of the fans didn't even watch those games because they just knew that Tennessee was going to win. So back then, man, it didn't ruin my Saturday. It ruined my Saturday, my Sunday, my Monday. Maybe by Tuesday or Wednesday I would come back around, and then hopefully we would be redeemed the next Saturday. Now, yeah, it bothers me. We laugh about our post-game shows being therapy. It is kind of therapeutic to get on and gripe, complain, hear what other people have to say. I think it really is kind of therapeutic to get it out and off your chest. But dang, sometimes it weighs on me still for a good day or two afterwards.
How bad does it ruin your day, John, when we lose?
I wasn't right until Monday after the Austin Peay game. So what do you think a loss does to me?
I just got right yesterday, Jay. I just started to turn. People were commenting saying, please stop talking about Austin Peay. So I'm with you, Jay. They won, and we're still trying to get over it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it especially as a YouTube content creator, because last year I was the most positive, pumped up. I loved that team. That team just pleased me to no end. Even when we lost, the South Carolina game, which of course was excruciating, but the worst part was Hennon getting hurt. That just devastated me. Oh my gosh. But I mean, it's just painful. It just is what it is. And it'll be tough if we lose that game. It'll be really tough on me because, Boogie will stay more positive and more professional than I will. I will not be happy if we lose that game. The perfect scenario is Joe plays well, we win the game, and I can go back to being Joe positive. But if
you bounce back and forth between being a Negaval and a sunshine pumper, then
and I don't like being a Negaval. I don't like it. I
don't like either one of them, really.
No, I'm all about. I love being fired up about the team. And last year, of course, it's my first year, but I had no reason to be down on them. I knew our defense wasn't that good, but that offense is the greatest thing that ever was, and it was clicking. I mean, it was clicking like nobody's ever seen. And it will click again. It will click again.
Then you got the guys like Aaron Duck, who's still pissed off about last year's South Carolina game. I think, honestly, Aaron, I think all three of us are probably maybe not pissed off about it, but it's still something that comes up. It comes up in streams anytime a South Carolina fan pops in, and at the first little hint of talking junk about South Carolina, the first thing they want to do is remind us about that game last year. That's okay. That was their Super Bowl. No, in fact, that was their All-American, if you want to call it, game, because that's like the biggest win that program's had maybe ever.
They had 2 Super Bowls last year.
Back to
Yeah.
You got to remember, Clemson's their arch enemy.
Right.
And they've lost like 15 times in a row to Clemson or whatever the crap it was. And they went over to Clemson and beat them there. And
the way they did it.
that was their Shangri-La.
Yeah.
Okay, look at that bottle. Hold that bottle back up.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
I was like,
It
all right.
disappears with the
In
green
case
screen.
anybody's wondering, it's definitely not beer because I don't drink. That's a
That's
Sprite.
because it's a green bottle, isn't it?
I
Yeah.
thought it was a Dr. Enough when it
I
disappeared.
didn't even think of that. Wow. Yeah. Hey.
Usually drinking
Yeah.
a Coke.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I like to mix it up sometimes, as much as I
need a
love.
sponsorship right here. This is my
You're
third one
Mr.
of the
Energy
day.
Drink, aren't you, Boogie?
I'm going to have a heart attack before I hit 45. It's gonna happen. I stay up all night playing NCAA football, and then I get up early this morning and start freaking going to work and recording with Kaner, making my own content, trying to act like I know what I'm talking about with this Florida game.
I hate
Something to wake
those
you up,
things.
something to put you to sleep.
It's funny you're talking about an energy drink. An energy drink is really kind of inadvertently responsible for me really doing YouTube. You might remember because you're kind of from that area. You remember when Jake Logue at Sullivan South died? 2009.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Yeah. I made a video about him and I got all emotional because I was thinking about losing my daughter. And I hate when I think about stuff like that. But I got all emotional thinking about her, making a video about him. And, one of the reasons that led to his death was chugging an energy drink before a football game. That I don't know if it still is, but that used to be a thing with these kids. But yeah, that's kind of what got my YouTube whole thing started, making a video about him. So there you go. Maybe I need them as a sponsor too, even though I've literally never in my life drank a sports drink or a energy drink. Never.
I drink the sugar-free ones. Does that make it better? That make it more
No.
healthy? I mean, it's got I'm pretty sure it has chemicals and all kinds of stuff in it, but
They smell and taste, the ones I've tasted smell like Eastman.
oh, come on.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
serious.
delicious. These are absolutely delicious.
What
Shout
is that,
out
a Rockstar?
Yeah. If you're watching,
Yeah.
hit me up.
We need 22 rock stars this Saturday, dang it.
That's right.
I want Tennessee to come out. It'd be nice if we threw a 70-yard bomb on the first play, but I'll take a 70-yard Jalen Wright bust up the middle. The bottom line, here goes my voice again. The bottom line is we got to go down there and take the crowd out of the game, like was mentioned in the comments. What's up, Slim Shady Canes? Take the crowd out of the game, make them get their keys out of the pocket to start their cars in the third quarter, and just dominate like we're supposed to. Who's your player of the game, Boogie?
Oh, man.
Well, you can look at that as who you think is going to be most impactful or who you want to see be the most impactful.
That makes it easier. Who I want to see. Give me Joe Milton, right? All day, every day. Because if Joe plays good on Saturday, this fan base, we're all going to be united and pulling in the same direction again. This fan base has been so hostile and divided for a week. We need Joe to get us moving back in the right direction. We're going to go one of two directions after this game, boys. Either it is doom and gloom, the sky is falling, bench Joe Milton, start Nico, or Joe's going to go win a Heisman. That's going to be the two mindsets coming out of this game. This fan base has been insane this entire offseason. The same people that were yelling at me and saying that I was an idiot for saying I wanted Joe Milton to start over Harrison Bailey all offseason have been telling me how Joe's going to go win a Heisman, how Joe's going to lead us to a national championship. It's the same people, and it's going to be the same thing after this game. It's either they're going to go with personality A, where they want Joe Milton benched, or they're going to go with personality B, give me the 5-star, insert Harrison Bailey, or Nico Iamaleava. That's going to be the two directions we're going after this game. So give me Joe Milton for 500, Alex.
What's his last name?
Iamaleava.
How do you pronounce that?
Iamaleava.
Why
Come on,
is that
get it right.
so freaking hard for these announcers?
I don't even get paid to say it, but I know how to say it. Come on.
I know,
You're
it's
getting
like-
paid by the SEC and ESPN. Learn how to say the name.
Right. You do kind of get paid to say it right. Jay, who's your player of the game? Whoever
That's
you
easy.
want to be or whoever it's going to be.
Aaron Beasley, that's the obvious choice. That's
So
not
you're
the
saying
sixth choice. It's the
you're
obvious
saying-
choice.
You're saying he's going to have to live in Graham Mertz's back pocket
he
all
needs
night.
he needs 1 or 2 sacks. He needs 2 or 3 extra TFLs, and he just needs to be all over the field all the time. And I think the first quarter, you're going to see 2 teams hit each other as hard as you will watch any game. It'll be like a national championship game in that first quarter. They're going to smash each other. It's going to be brutal. I'm telling you, Florida's going to be pumped beyond belief. Napier's fighting for his life. And Tennessee just got done having a players-only meeting. So how hyped do you think they're going to be?
They better be.
They're going to come out there with their hair on fire, both teams, and you're going to – I mean, it's going to be like Rocky versus Drago.
It's going to be like a Tim Tebow versus Eric Berry type of deal.
It's going to be something. Now, it'll calm down after the first quarter because everybody will have gotten out all that energy, and it'll start becoming a football game in the second quarter. But that first quarter is going to be dramatic, one way or the other. So,
my player of the game, the guy that I want to see ball out, and this might surprise you guys, Castles. I think that guy is we had the big catch and run against Austin Peay. I think that's a guy I think that's a superstar waiting to happen for Tennessee. I'm not saying he's a Brock Bowers or somebody like that, but he could be. He could have Brock Bowers' numbers. He's not as fast, he's not as elusive as Brock, but that he's got skills, and I'd love to see him catch 2 or 3 touchdown passes against Florida. We're getting close to an hour here, guys. This show's been it's been fun, as it always is, talking to you guys. Anything you want to talk about coming up, Jay, on your channel, and then Boogie?
Oh, let's see. I think I'm going on another Florida channel tonight. I think I'm going on High Top Sports. I can't remember. I think it's like 8:00, and that's the only thing I got going on right now. I'll probably do a show later this afternoon once I find something that inspires me.
Boogie, what's going on with you?
We're live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. Ben McKee from Go Balls 247 going to be in the house breaking down the Tennessee-Florida matchup. Ben's awesome. Anytime Ben comes on, dude, I ask him a question, he talks for 20 minutes. He drops he puts so much work. Him and Kane are both. I got to shout out both those guys. They're young, up-and-coming media guys. They work their asses off. They put so much work into their product. I love when Ben comes on. So come join us at 7 p.m. tonight for that. Friday morning, 9:30 a.m., myself, Coach Jay, doing the morning show. We are also going to have Blue Chip Breakdown in the house. I don't know if you have seen those guys. They're Tennessee fans. They break down film, do a lot of high school stuff on their channel as well. They're going to be in the house. Well, one of them is going to be in the house on Friday morning with myself and Coach Jay. Then the same as every week on game day. We're going to be going live about an hour before kickoff, maybe an hour and a half. We got a special guest that could be on Saturday. He's a big-time media personality. He is a Florida Gator, but some reason, some way, he kind of likes Tennessee. I'm not putting his name out there.
Maybe?
Not putting his name out there. This dude's huge. He is huge. If we get this guy, we're working on it. We've been in communication trying to lock it down and make sure he's going to be in the house. If so, Tailgate Show is going to be in an hour and a half before kickoff. That way we can still do the fan call in. Then, as always, live immediately after the game. Tons and tons of content coming your way on the Talking Balls Network.
Man, it would have been easier to ask you what's not going on.
Oh, yeah. I knew Boogie'd have a lineup.
Dude, I'm streaming 6 days a week, twice on Wednesday with you guys. It's crazy.
I actually just got reached out to by Blue Chip Breakdown. I think I'm going to do something with them as well, a little collab. Yeah. So I've been watching some of their content. It's pretty darn good. So, yeah.
I'm looking forward to
I'll be interested to see him on your show.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to have to write that down. I told myself, hang on, if I don't write it down now, I'll forget. I told myself when I got back to doing videos after all that sickness crap that I was not going to watch everybody on YouTube. I was not going to read a bunch of articles about Tennessee. I'm going to let Tennessee football be secondary in my life to everything else. But here we are, 3 games in this weekend, and I'm right back where I was before I ever got sick. It's all I think about.
Where you belong, brother.
I'm with you on that. I'm trying to get back to putting out tons of content. It can be frustrating, but I'm not letting it. I'm just going to keep pumping it out. And if I catch a hold of that algorithm like Jay has in the last year or like you have in the last 3 or 4 years, so be it. That's the name of the game on here. Listen, guys, I'm going to shut her down. Great hanging out with you guys. Don't leave. I'm going to end the stream and tell everybody thanks for stopping in today. I think we had a great show. Dang my freaking voice. Dang those tubes they shoved down your throat. I think we had a great show today. Had a good turnout. Thank you guys. Like I always say, hug your mom and daddy. It's so important. I hope you'll realize that if you don't. I've heard so many people in the past say, oh, I hate my mom. I hate my dad. How can you hate the people that put you here and gave you the opportunity to do what we're doing right now? There you go. Hug your mom and daddy. I love you. I mean it. Go Vols. Screw you, Florida. We're coming for you this weekend. It's all there is to it. We're coming for you. And I hope you're ready. And we'll see you guys here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. Go sub Boogie. Go sub Sports Talk J. If you're here for the first time, sub me up. Click that bell for notifications. And we'll see you tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
14 to the 12, to the 15, to the 20, to the 25, to the 30, to the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 30.